isn't that an unusual collaboration between a mother and son? Next to a man whose passion from an early age was for dinky cars. He built up a classic car collection, and from the time he was old enough to drive, one car was never enough. But as car shapes and technology changed, Kevin Byrne's heart stayed with the classics.
Well, I always liked cars, and I liked to simulate the reality of life when I was a child. And I remember when these cars, when I couldn't drive, and see them motoring down the city, and now I can feel how the guys felt when they were driving them.
Okay, I'm going to start this baby, yeah? No. Yes, yes! You did it! Very small, very cozy.
Oh yeah.
Off you go. So this really, Kevin, is
1929 off.
the early
Oh, that's the early way.
motor cars. Just a step up from a motorcycle
And this is a
or a
good one.
motorbike.
And this is a good one. Can you imagine what a bad one would be like?
And what's the significance of this soother?
Well, this is a baby Austin. So the mascot for a baby Austin is the baby's Dodie. Are you nervous?
So we have another baby Austin here now, Kevin. I'm becoming an expert. What's the story behind this car?
It's a 1927 Austin 7 that belonged to the John McCormick family. And I bought it from a man in Clondalkin. Mm-hmm. And the reason I bought it was so I could do the Gordon Bennett rally, because you had to have cars pre-1930. And I had no pre-1930 cars. And that's about 25 or 6, could be 30 years ago. And this car behind was the car that was, it starred in Angela's Ashes. It's a 1932 Austin 7.
What's the particular thrill that you get from collecting cars, even?
If you find something that's very good and it's original, so when I find out the car is genuine and that, I'd be very interested in it, if the price was right, and the owner of the car wants to get rid of it.
As with every acquisition of Kevin's, it comes with a long story.
I asked him had it got a Narbard sump, and he said, oh yes, and he didn't know what the sump was. So I asked him then, had it, yeah, I flew to Gatwick and he drove me down to Hastings. And I saw the car and I bought it off. It was only the price of an ordinary Fiat 500 because he thought it was an ordinary Fiat 500.
Ah, okay.
And I drove it.
While Kevin works miracles with the bodywork, his pal Ray is left to deal with the mechanics.
I'd be afraid of my life he comes back with a new car. Afraid because it's me that ends up fixing the cars. Last time he went over to England, he bought a car, never told me about it, until I found out a couple of days there, his friend came down and says to me, where's Kevin's new car? And I went, what? New car? Kevin is just, he's out in a league of his own. He eats, sleeps vintage cars.
When I look around here, I can see the collection is getting bigger all the time. Do you ever feel like parting with them?
Sometimes I do. It's a business if you can get the right cars and sell them. You know, it's very hard to get the right stuff. And it's to get the client to pay the best price for the best goods. A good thing is never dear, but a lot of them don't do that. When I meet the buyer and I feel he doesn't appreciate the actual car that I am selling him, I say, right, he's not getting it.
And when it comes to sourcing spare parts for the cars, where do you go?
Well, I know a lot of, well, I've got originally the addresses of guys that did parts down through the years. And some of those guys are still doing the parts. So I'd fax them what I want. Because a lot of these guys aren't even on the internet. They're old men and they give you printouts and you have to order what you want. And it takes, the turnaround takes about 4 weeks. Yeah, but most is the internet now. Because they're remaking some parts better than new.
What is the difference between vintage car engines and modern cars?
Well, vintage cars are basic plugs and pipes, condensers. Modern cars today, it's ECUs, It's all electronics nowadays, you know. Everything's going by an ECU, which is like a brain. Very, very technical.
Kevin, if you had to choose from among your entire collection of cars, I know you would choose this Chevrolet, and tell me why you like it so much.
Yeah, because this is a basic American car. They're not expensive. I found it runs on kerosene or lamp gas, and it's capable of 60 miles an hour. And they plough fields with them in America, but they're not regarded as an expensive car. But it's great when you bring it on a rally. It can keep up with the Bentleys. I've done about 24,000 miles on it to date since I got it. It's almost 30 years ago. It is 30 years ago.
Very respectable mileage. And it's a beauty. And you can see some of Kevin's cars in the Vintage Show in Rathfarnham on the last Sunday in May. Next week, we have a visual feast in